All right, welcome back to video number 2 of 3, and this is Evolve. Okay, I was going to guess Evolve. The good news is that they had a good rally. The bad news is that they're probably going to make a lower low. Bad P&L, so you need to do homework. And if you lose if you can't recover 4.4 or 4.5, I think you're going to go much further lower. Huge head and shoulders. I'm going to give it just half is 0.8. This was met. Or being met. So head and shoulders right there. The downside target is usually the depth of the height of this. Arguably, they could have met it. If I look left, this was a place they needed to close. They closed the gap perfectly, and they're bouncing. So that's the good news. The bad news now, they have all that junk of resistance above. So careful for the reversion lower. Ford, be careful not to lose 11.9. Or 11.8. If you do, you're going to go to 11.30 or 11.20. Somebody asked me, is it good to buy the shares and try to make money off of selling covered calls? That is never something I would do, especially not on a small stock like this. Yeah, it's a good company, but the stock is not stable, so not for me. Let's say you bought it here for that purpose, and you lost 30% just to make how much in covered calls? Can you generate 30% in covered calls in 6 months? I don't think so. Anyway, not a bad idea to get it long a stock when it's falling into support. This one is falling into temporary support. If it holds, you might get up to 1270, but if you lose it, for me, I would put an alert down in the 11s, low 11s, and say, okay, I might want to get long there. And if you accumulate a good starting point for Ford and you start selling covered calls, yeah, it's not a bad deal. Earnings in 45 days. Look out for earnings from GM. I don't know when. They need to. I'm happy that GM and Ford are starting to realize that electric vehicles is not their future, because I was so concerned. I was like, how could anybody invest in these companies when they're telling you they're going to stop selling the cars they make money on and concentrate on the cars they lose money on? They lose money on EVs. Well, now that's no longer the conversation anymore, I hope. This one, Fifth Third Bancorp. Such an easy name to say. It just rolls right off the tongue. Fifth Third Bancorp. It's just great name, people. Just awesome. So I'm being sarcastic. It's going into a messy area. I wouldn't start longs here. In fact, this is shortable with stops. That's all I have to say about it. This is not an obvious entry point. They may have broken out from 35, 50. It's not for me. Buy the dip into 35 at least. Trading-wise, do your thing. Investment-wise, it's not an obvious entry point. 4. Shift 4 payments. Must be like a Square competitor or something. Wild. They just gave you a wild range on earnings. Draw a box around it and ping pong inside. 92 versus 68. I don't know what to say. I think you're stuck there for a while. Good support below 76. Thin but super strong resistance just from levels perspective. Oh, yeah. If they hold 76, then they got over a big hump right there, and I would hold the longs. So giant short-term limit. Fulton Financial. What's with all these funky financial companies we're getting lately? The last couple of weeks, the questions even in the live room. Okay, above 17, you could get to 20. You have scattered support through 13. That's the easy statement on it. Giga Cloud Technologies. Wow. All right. So we have an improving P&L and improving stock inside of an exploding stock market. Technically, you have support through 30. And resistance at 39 or higher. If you're trading, watch out for a potential resistance at 36 or 35.5. So they have a rally sold to a lower low. Maybe. How about I tell you this? If we lose 32.80, you're probably going to get to 28. What? Yep. That's not my forecast. If we lose 32.80, there are buyers there. GFAI. Good grief with these tiny companies. Okay, if you're an investor, you need to do homework. The chart's not going to help you. Pick a good entry point. Charting wise, anything above 380 is a sell. I'm not saying that that's what's going on. All these wicks are sellers. And you do have a strong buyer into 310. GFS. What is this? Okay. Lower highs knocking on a floor. They're trying to hold 51. If you lose 51, you're going to 46. It's a guarantee. If you lose 51, you're likely to hit 46, 47 sub. Meanwhile, you do have a catalyst on the upside at 56.40. So if you just bought longs for that opportunity, you're not crazy. You just better have a tight stop. That's it. Earnings in 58 days. All right. GM, speaking of, don't know what that green line is. Oh, let's zoom out and see. Whoop. Let's zoom out and see. All right. So I had a giant circle green from back then. Hello, bird. I have a bird that's attacking my windows. He's nesting and he sees himself. Peak, peak, peak. Not an obvious entry point. So I thought that they could do this, and they're halfway through that. They're dipping into support through 38. They do have that. So if you just got long for this continuation, you're not crazy. You're doing the right thing from a trading perspective. Let's zoom in. Sellers at 40.8. I think they're pretty harsh sellers. Make sure you don't lose footing and end up at 38.2. It's a trade, not an investment for me at these levels for GM. I have no confidence in the management, like less than zero confidence in the management. They need to slim that company down and streamline it will probably be better. They have done tremendous progress there, but there's more work to be done. All right, so this is GOOGL. I won't cover GOOG. It's the same chart. Weeks ago, I said it's a short. It's on my short list, and it has played out. It is in the hands of the sellers. So what I want to point out is the selling jag. Rally, sold, new low, rally, sold, new low, rally. What if it gets sold and it gets to a new low? So there is a path for Google to get to 126 in the next couple of weeks, even though down to here in the 120 area. But it's not my forecast because it will follow the market. And it does have a way out. 139, 140, and 141. You can see a physical line at 141. Right there. The 39, sorry, that zone. If you can recover that yellow thing convincingly, of course you have more problems above, but this is the neckline. Look, shoulder, head, shoulder. The target is here, where we are. Well, losing this one makes a target about this area. So you need to recover. These two lines are your killers for Google. Watch these two lines. I'm going to expand them globally so I can see them on every chart. I think they're important. HIMS, huge explosion here. I like the idea of the business if they handle a bunch of stuff that suits men that don't have to go somewhere and meet up with someone on a whole bunch of industries. That is a good winning business. And the P&L is not that exciting yet, but the stock is. They're growing sales. I wouldn't short it. If I'm an investor, I'm patient. If you look left, it's been here before. Was that a SPAC at one point? Anyway, whoa. All right, so we're going into failures from June of 2021. And I would argue that these were also failures from March of 2021. Those do not make good entry points. On the other hand, breaking out like they just did puts an $18 target. So I wouldn't short it. But if you're going to invest in it, you should know that it's a better trade than an investment at these levels. If you're patient to see it for 3 months, go without you. I think you might get an entry point below 12. I wouldn't short it. Hershey's. Wow, that line is still pretty pivotal. This is a company that lost footing based on a diet drug showing up, and I was like, that's counterintuitive. If there's a diet drug, I would think they would sell more chocolate, because if I like chocolate, I'm going to take the diet drug and eat more chocolate. And that's my take. But anyway, it's a good long-term investment, in my opinion. Good P&L, nothing too exciting. That's what you want for an investment, something stable, especially if they pay a dividend. Good entries into 188. I think solid support into 181. I don't think they should lose 181, and they could drift higher towards the 210 area, especially if the markets hold up. So if somebody bought the dip, good job. I would stay in it. Humana, I had a couple of uh-ohs this week. Look left, and you need to hold that 332. In fact, why don't I have one over there already? This is an exaggeration dip from the earnings in January. Imagine if they lose it. So something is broken here. The sellers are accelerating their efforts. And the fact that they cannot recover 360, they need to be at 372, and then they have an easy path to 400. But to get to 372, they're going to have to cut through a lot of volume. It's not going to be easy. So it's probably easier to drift down to 310. So be careful to not catch the falling knife too quickly. Okay. I would avoid this. Unproven ETF. Bitcoin is at an all-time high, literally as we speak. I wouldn't touch it. Just talk to somebody who did. Check this out. Hold on. Bito. When they released Bito, which is an ETF that kind of tracks Bitcoin, Bitcoin had just made an all-time high. Do you want to be that guy here in IBIT, was it? Not me. So trading wise, you have 2 wicks at 40 point, the high 40.2 and 37.7. You lose 37.7, you go into 36 and 34. I believe this is a pot real estate trade. Look at this P&L. What is this? This is like, how can I, what? Look at this P&L. You can't find a better P&L out there, except for the growth rate, which has stalled on a quarterly basis. Wow. That is a solid business if real estate holds up. If it pays a dividend, that's a good dividend stock if you can stomach the excitement around that. I think that's the pot company, the industrial properties. I think so. Anyway, technically speaking, 100 is a killer and an opportunity. You take out 100, you're going to make a new high off of this. Dips into 92 are buying opportunities. So maybe you put an alert here. Whoops, not caps lock, alert. And an alert here, long with stops, long with hard stops. And anywhere below here, bargain, question mark, P&L, solid. I want to review it. These are alerts for me to trade it, invest in it. IWM, I covered it in the beginning. I'll cover it tonight. Lam Research, target 1 and 2 is coming up. So 2 is 935. 1 has been met from this red W. So what I'm saying is that this might be another target. This was a target. I'm not going to put a line there because it wasn't there. I don't want to cheat. I think there's a problem here in resistance. So if they pop and they can't take out that resistance, that's probably the path. Earnings in 38 days. This would keep the bulls in charge, by the way. Higher lows and higher highs. The bulls are in charge. Don't make a mistake about it. I'm not being bearish to the stock. I've done business with this company when I was at 22 or 23, I think. The stock was 27. I traded shares. I haven't traded options in a while. I tell you, there's a pivotal point. There are a few of them, actually. So the pivotal zone here. That should be solid support in case that, everything falls apart. Be careful. Higher highs, and that's what's going on. So if you want to repeat the process from before, you can say, oh, Nick, you're looking down. Why? I was like, I'm not looking down. I'm just showing you what can happen based on charts. And this is Wow. Oh, that's pretty scary. Look at that. So let's say, how are we going to put this way? This is what's been going on. They dip, they have a rally, they set a higher high. I think this is easier to do, the yellow parts. Mara. Okay, don't short Mara. I don't trade Mara. I trade crypto directly through crypto. I don't know what's going on in the P&L. I don't know how a company can have an earnings line higher than the sales, because it might be a balance sheet scenario. So study the company, know what they do. Like, I didn't know that MSTR also has revenues from selling data and such. So figure it out. From an investment perspective, I wouldn't touch it unless I knew what was going on. Trading wise, you have the opportunity to go to 29 and 30, but you have a big problem at 25. So I would rather buy the dip below 20 to get to 27, because 25 might be too big. 25, 26. So resistance at 25, 26 in Mara. I'll put a box. So that's your challenge. I don't know what to say about that one. Was there a buyout? If there is a buyout, we're not going to talk about it. Those charts look like buyouts. If there's a buyout, do an arbitrage research on it. Meta, leave it alone. Leave it alone. If you're an investor, you're going to have to plug your nose and trust that in the future is going to make gobs more money, and that he's going to be able to build a metaverse that brings all these billions of dollars that they're not bringing in now, and that everything they're spending now they're going to recoup. Don't short it. You're shorting an idea. How do you kill an idea? Now, you can short charts, but look at it. We have had. So here's how you do it. If we go to 515, you buy a put and you stop out if they make a new high. Or you sell a credit call spread and you stop out if it doubles in price or goes to 250 or something. But shorting it outright because of fundamentals is crazy. It's like shorting Amazon 15 years ago, shorting Tesla 10 years ago or 8 years ago. You can't short an idea. Especially when the company is making huge money right now. So it's pretty difficult. Trading wise, you should have a solid support at 490 and solid resistance at the highs, mini resistance at 513. You can short 513, 514 and stop out if they make an all-time high. That's how I would deal with it. Market axis holding. Okay. Why is the stock collapsing when the P&L is stable? So do your homework on the company prospects. Meanwhile, it's falling into an area that has served for good footing 3 times. So if you bought the dip, you're not crazy about that. Just make sure you're not in below 200. I would exit. I don't want to find out what's below 200 technically. And I don't add to longs if I'm long already. MPC. Marathon. Amazing. One of those super amazing. What the hell is going on with the stock when the P&L looks like this? Can anybody explain this to me? What is going on? Is it a cash thing? Are they chasing the cash generation? What the heck? So cash from operations was 7, 2, 4, 4, 4, 5, 1, 14. Oh, those are quarters. Okay. Annual. Okay, so they stepped up in cash. How is that possible when a company does that? When the P&L doesn't change? So figure it out. And now it's 14. Last year is trailing 12 months is 14. 2023 was 14. 2022 was 16. And before that it was 4. So they changed something in their business. So I don't know. I just don't chase stocks at all-time highs. That's me. From an investment perspective, I wouldn't touch this one. Trading-wise, I would be short down to 175 with a stop. You could get to 173 as well. So earnings in 51 days. So we will say this one with stops. I would rather be short with. I wouldn't hold calls at this level. I would buy calls if they dip to that arrow one or close to it. Medical properties. Support at 4, resistance at 450. Trade that range. What is this? Wow, that's a huge change quarter to quarter. Do your homework. Morgan Stanley. What do they do again? Bank. Oh, yeah, exciting business. No, it's not exciting. The stocks are exciting. I'm worried about the banks. We have a bank that is struggling to go out of business in the US and nobody cares. And the XLF is moving violently with and without interest rates. So when interest rates spike, they tend to spike. And when they don't spike, they tend to spike. And sometimes it's the opposite. There's something going on in the bond market. Keep your eye on the banks. Morgan Stanley, tight range. 91 plus will get you to 98 attempt. Losing the recent support will get you to 78. Yes. It's either 98 or 78 in the next couple of months. Take your pick. You do have support. Let's go shorter in time. 89.5, 90 is going to be difficult, just like 86 is support. Microsoft, $400 stock. So far, it's doing what I thought it would do, trying to hold that white line, the 402. They fell to 398 or 399 one day. So my focus is on the mega caps, and it is how the market's going to go based on the mega caps, I think. So for this guy, the Friday highs are tough, and then there's tough lines above that. So it's just as easy to retest the 400 than it is to take out the green line. I think it's easier to get to 398 than it is to break out from my green line at 416. That's my impression. Okay. 414 is a problem. Whoops. 414 is a problem. And losing 398, of course, will bring you to 389. Good company. I'm not an investor up at these levels. I know a lot of smart people are. They're accumulating. I just don't get it. If I'm investing for the long term and my horizon is 10 years, maybe, but I'm not that kind of investor anymore. I don't think anybody should be. Depends on your age, of course. 37 is going to be a problem. This area is a challenge. In fact, I would raise it a little bit. And they are fighting to hold this area. See that? Okay, so those are your lines. I would sell up here and recover down to here and see if they can get there. Otherwise, they're going to have to retest the support. So it looks like it could make some headway, Newmont. It's not a bad long. Just you should know that there's resistance above and very ginger support below. Netflix, leave it alone. I have a feeling there's going to be a bump in its subscribership or hours viewed or something because Prime is going to commercials. And I have both, and I stopped opening my Prime app. I still shop at Amazon, but if I had bought the Prime app for the Prime TV, I'm canceling it, you know. But I still shop enough that I will keep my Prime membership. Just making a side comment. I don't know what's going on with it. They're making the transition from a company that's judged by the number of people they sign up to a company that's making money. That's a dangerous transition. I don't know if it's a big price up or big price down based on that. We'll find out soon enough. I don't know their financials, to be honest. Let's go to their statistics. 8 price to sales is not expensive. It's slightly more than Apple. It's twice, maybe 3 times more, maybe even 4 times more than Amazon. So if they don't grow as much in sales, we'll look in a minute. PE is 50. That's not a deal breaker if they're growing. So let's go to the statement. Cash is not a problem, of course. Let's see here on the annual basis. They're tracking to last year's cash, which is 3 times the year before that. So now they can do more things if they're generating their own cash. So that's a dangerous thing. 6% sales growth. 50 PE. Yeah, I don't want to own it here from an investment perspective. It was growing 30%. You can overlook a 50 PE. But if you're growing single digits, I don't know how they can overlook it. So let's see if they're trending back up on the quarterly. I wouldn't start an investment here, technically or theoretically. I think it needs to come back to 460. Look at that blue line that I have. This, you know, they might come back down to the green one, maybe to the red one. We'll see. Not an obvious entry point. I can say that with confidence. Nike, good company. Look at this. They did what I thought they would do and then some. I thought they would come to here via a pop and a drop, but they decided to just drop. And now the problem is they lost this zone as well, around 100. So Nike could drift down to 94. As good as a company as it is. Look at the solid P&L. But it's in danger of drifting down to 94. Remember, this is going on while markets cannot stop making highs. So this R belongs down there as well. Now we have a giant resistance up here. And they need to be above this one. Otherwise, they might do this again. Oof, that's a rough chart. I mean, technically, I can justify 88 in the next 6 months. So if I'm long, I'm not panicking, but I'm definitely not adding. If I'm looking to get long, I take a partial position. Just in case we get to 88, I decide whether I want to add. Service now, if they take out 780, they can get back to 808. That's the short-term prospect. And look at this box from whenever. Look at that. That's exactly what they're fighting for right now. So I'm going to put it here. I don't know why I drew this box, but I'm keeping it. It means something. Support inside this box, opportunity above 781. P&L is kind of weird, but it's definitely not bad. NVIDIA, what did they do again? Oh, yeah. So, my gosh, if you were watching on Friday, if you were in the live room, whoa, man, oh, man. So, it's just indescribable. We close. It was in the low 2 and low 9s. Before the market opens, we were already at the 960. And then we hit 975 or, yeah, 4. And then 850 after hours. People didn't see this. 850 after hours. So if you want to calculate the travel for 1 day for the stock, it's just neck breaking. 12% from high to low. Not to mention the pre-market rally from wherever it was to the high. Whoa, neck breaking. So technically, if you look left, that's an area of support through 830. I wouldn't use the word support in the NVIDIA stock chart. There is no support. There's just areas of interest. 790 plus or minus $10 is an area of interest. Where we at after hours on Friday is an area of interest. This was the stock last year, and this was the market last year, and this is the market this year. If NVIDIA fails this week big time, I think the markets will have a big problem. Now, let's not call it dead yet, but that was a massive reversal on Friday. Let's see what they do with it. NVO. If you lose 131, you're going to get a better entry at 127. Meanwhile, you do have a problem at 139, which would also be a catalyst higher. I don't know if this is an all-time high. Woo, damn. Okay, so I don't know what they're expecting. I think this is a diet drug. So a diet drug will be bought ferociously, I think. What just happened here? Okay. So don't short a diet drug. Zoom out, buy the dip. But for me, it's just you need to do homework to invest in it at these levels. Or put it on your to-do list much later in time and see if it reverses. You missed the easy mark, so why jump in now? OSK, I believe that's the last one in this group. Yes, it is. Okay, they're trying to break out. What is this? Oshkosh. They're trying to break out of this prior fail. If this is still a retail company, you might move with Ulta, and you might get to 120. Now, I think it's easier to just drop a little bit and revisit the 111 area, which is good support. It has good support and an easy mark above to finish the 120. So don't short it, but know these levels if you're a trader. All right, we're going to stop this and go to the third video.